Hello once again, this is Orion Syndicate 910. Thanks for watching. Back in May, President Barack Obama nominated Paul Anastas to head the Environmental Protection Agency's Office of Research and Development. Paul Anastas is the director of Yale University's Center for Green Chemistry and Green Engineering, and he's also a former White House environmental director. Anastas is a renowned scientist and is known as the father of green chemistry. Now, for the Obama administration, which supports ambitious climate change legislation and stresses the importance of sustainability, the nomination of Anastas seemed to be very much in keeping with its overall agenda. Anastas' nomination was unanimously approved in committee in July, and his confirmation seemed all but assured. Yet here we are in November, and Anastas still has not been confirmed. Standing in his way is Senator David Vitter, Republican of Louisiana, whose block on Anastas' nomination raises serious questions about Vitter's close ties to the formaldehyde industry. Now, for most people, formaldehyde is an embalming fluid or something that preserves animals in labs, but it's more than that. It's used in building materials and household products. You see, the future of the formaldehyde industry is very much in jeopardy right now. A few years ago, the International Agency for Research on Cancer definitively announced that the chemical causes cancer in people. The EPA, which has studied formaldehyde's risk for over a decade, didn't quite go that far, saying that it is a probable human carcinogen. But that might soon change. The EPA has recently signaled that it plans to definitively assess formaldehyde's health effects. An EPA spokeswoman told the New Orleans Times-Picayune back in September, quote, "This is not the time for more delay," end quote. As the agency's research director, Paul Anastas would certainly have a role in this assessment, given that one of Anastas' specialties is doing research for the designing of safer chemicals and chemical processes to replace hazardous ones. The formaldehyde industry is naturally concerned about his nomination. So you're wondering, what does David Vitter have to do with all this? Well, instead of the EPA ruling on formaldehyde now, Vitter wants the agency to let the National Academy of Sciences review formaldehyde's risk, which is a process that could take a year or even longer, and environmentalists are afraid that it might favor industry supporters because the NAS review would use industry-based reports. Likewise, blocking Anastas' nomination is another way of slowing the EPA's movement on formaldehyde. An EPA official told Mother Jones magazine that agency head Lisa Jackson actually met with Vitter to ask him to let the nomination go through, but it didn't happen. He didn't let it go through. And although Vitter's spokesman's recent comments that the FEMA trailer debacle, which exposed thousands of displaced Gulf Coast victims living in government-issued trailers to high formaldehyde levels, demonstrated the need to get absolutely reliable information to the public about the risk of formaldehyde as quickly as possible, Vitter's position ensures the EPA won't be coming out with guidelines for formaldehyde anytime in the near future. Now, in case you're wondering why is he so sympathetic to the formaldehyde industry, well, he followed the money trail. Campaign finance records show that many of Louisiana's big formaldehyde polluters happen to be big donors to Vitter's campaign. Dow Chemicals PAC gave him $9,000. He got $5,000 each from Monsanto and ExxonMobil, and he got another $2,500 from the American Forest and Paper Association. The American Forest and Paper Association is also a member of the Formaldehyde Council, an industry group whose views align with Vitter's. As a matter of fact, they also lobbied for an NES review. In an October interview with Chemistry World, Anastas said that he is under no illusions about the obstacles in the way, saying, quoting him, "We face tremendous challenges in ensuring the best science is brought to bear on issues like arsenic and formaldehyde," end quote. Now, reached at his office on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, he He remained confident about his nomination, saying he's very enthusiastic about assuming his duties at the EPA when the Senate finalizes the process and confirms him. An environmentalist with the Sierra Club summed up the situation best to the Times-Picayune, saying, quote, "It's just disappointing that anybody would try to get in the way of us finally adopting the kind of formaldehyde standards that exist in other countries that protect people. It's ironic that this could come from somebody from Katrina land who has thousands of constituents who were exposed to excess formaldehyde levels after being placed in government housing." End quote. So here we have Mr. Vitter, and we all have the living memory of Hurricane Katrina and the chaos that followed, and the very real fears that people expressed over their exposure to formaldehyde in the government trailers that they were given to live in temporarily. And yet, the EPA is on the verge of definitively assessing formaldehyde's cancer risk to humans. Vitter is standing in the way of the nomination of a perfectly capable and thoroughly qualified man to the post. David Vitter. He just never stops, does he? Anyway, this is Orion Syndicate 910, and this video is the first in a series of videos that I'll be making about corporate power in the United States government, through their lobbyists, through their campaign donations, and the politicians they have in their back pockets. This is just the first video of many, and I'm just getting started now. Thanks for watching. It's Orion Syndicate 910.